Welcome coaches and umpires to the 2021-22 Baseball Rules Clinic. I'm Greg Reed with the WVSSAC, and later on in the presentation I'll be joined by Bob Wyford, our West Virginia State clinician and interpreter. And as we start the show, the slideshow, just a reminder that if you are officiating both softball and baseball, you must view both videos. What makes us different at the SSAC with our education-based athletics are the three S's: safety, sportsmanship, and scholarship. Safety, as you know, in baseball is a major concern, as it is in all of our sports. But make sure that we're using the proper equipment. We have a lot of NOCSAE stamps now on all of our equipment, and this just provides reassurance that all of our equipment is safe. Sportsmanship, always an ever-growing concern, especially with baseball. For some reason, we seem to have issues with fans. Just a reminder, umpires, that if we do have issues with fans, please try to locate the administrator on site from the school and have that administrator handle all the issues with the fans outside the fence. Coaches, head coaches especially, you set the tone for sportsmanship of your players and how they respond, and also your own response to certain calls. Hopefully, coaches, that you will do this in a sportsmanship manner. Umpires most certainly do not get angry when you request an interpretation, but if you start arguing and getting into other avenues of anger, then we do have some sportsmanship issues. Scholarship deals with West Virginia having academic standards. Each student athlete that performs on an athletic field must have a 2.0 average, and we do have expectations in the classroom, and we're actually one of the few states that still adheres to a GPA average to be eligible for athletics. When you log in to your account on our website, you just go to our website, and it has admin login in the upper left-hand corner. And then you will come to this page where it's username and password. Coaches, every year you have to type in WV Coach in lowercase for username password, and then we will actually get a response from that and then help guide you through as far as getting you information that you need to log in from that point on. Officials, umpires, yours is your registration number in all caps. That does not change from year to year because it's assigned to you as an individual. But if you do have questions, we can look in our packets because Alice has a nice description of how to log in and do it effectively. Officials, here are your testing dates. Part 1 will begin February 28th, and then it will close 2 weeks later on March 14th. And then Part 2 begins a week later on March 21st, and it will close April 4th. If you do happen to miss the deadline on Part 2, Alice can open up a 24-hour window for you. It'll be a $50 fee, but this will allow you to take the Part 2 exam. Just a reminder that Part 1 counts as 10 points on your rating system now. If you score an 80 or above, you will be awarded those 10 points, and then Part 2 is still at 20 points. So one third of your rating now comes from test scores. We have reduced both of these tests down to 50 questions each, so we hope that you're appreciative for that. And then we will meet with our Officials Advisory Committee in the spring and see if this was an effective tool or if we need to make some tweaks to this system. Your packets are online. You do not have to log in to see your packets. We have coaches packets and we have umpire packets. Special reports, umpires, if you have an ejection, you need to write a special report, and please do so within 24 hours. And also, if we have an injury that needs to be reported, please fill a special report out on that as well. During sectional tournament, we will use Class 1 and Class 2 officials. And if we have a shortage in a certain area and we need to go to Class 3s, just email me or call me, and we will see if we can make exceptions to get the games covered. That's our main goal, is to get all the games covered. In the regional tournament, we will use Class 1 and Class 2 only, and coaches, you will select sectional umpires and regional umpires from the school level. Once we get to the state level, then our office will select the 12 umpires that will be working the state tournament, and we will only use Class 1 for the baseball state tournament in Charleston. The patch has been eliminated. This will be the second year it's been eliminated. We are all sublimation now on our shirts, and we have approved 3 shirts in West Virginia. We have the black shirt that you're allowed, the navy blue, and the powder blue. We will not add any more shirts to that. Self-nomination, if you do want to work a state tournament, please self-nominate before April 15th. This will be our deadline. We hope that you feel you're ready for a state tournament. We're always looking for new umpires to come down, as well as throwing some experienced umpires in there to have an effective tournament. We feel like the past few years we've had excellent umpires at the state tournament, and we would want to continue that for sure. The state tournament selection process is very simple. It will come through Bob Wyford and myself. So if you need to have one of us see you, with all the games that are live streamed now, we always have an opportunity to see umpires working, but we will make a special effort to come your way to see you live on a field to determine if you're ready for a state tournament. Your game reports are due by July 1st, 2022. And just a reminder, need a minimum of 15 games. And then the online registration through Arbiter Sports registration process quickly turns around after baseball season, as that process is due by June 15th. Our pitch count, coaches the numbers have stayed the same. Our state and our coaches advisory committee feels strongly that our numbers are good. So we will continue with the 110 max for high school and 95 for middle school. And just a reminder, we don't use little league rules where once we get to 30 pitches, we cannot continue a batter at that level and not take a day of rest. We count all pitches. The only exception or extension is at the 110 mark. We will let you finish the at-bat. But we do not finish the at-bat at the other levels. Once you get to those numbers, then we go into the proper days of rest. Pitch count's based solely on pitches to a batter. So anything with a balk or anything thrown between innings, or if we have an injury and we need to warm up the pitcher, those most certainly do not count towards the count. And just a reminder that no player can pitch 4 consecutive days, even if those 3 days are under the 30 pitch count. We need a day of rest on that 4th day. If you do have suspended games, we do use the pitch count from the suspended game. So if a pitcher pitches 35 pitches and the game becomes suspended, then that pitcher cannot come back the next day. The recording of the pitches is very important, coaches. We need you to download the Game Changer app and record pitches on Game Changer. And you still need to talk to the opponent's coach, and make sure that you are in agreement with the tracking of the pitcher, because both schools should be tracking each other's pitcher as well. Out of season coaching, the 3-week window should be back to normal this year, but your county will determine this. It comes from your county board of education, and it can begin on week 49, which is the Monday after the state baseball tournament. If you use week 49, then you must use 3 consecutive weeks. It would be 49, 50, 51. If you want to use and wait and start till week 50, then it's 50, 51, 52. Or you can even choose July. Even though July was chosen for you last year, hopefully we will not be doing that this year. We'll be back to normal and everything will be on schedule. A reminder that the 4th of July is a down week. You can't lift, you can't run, you can't work with your student athletes during that week. We have also added 12 flex days, and the question we most commonly get from coaches, can we use this the week before we start practice? And the answer is yes. You just can't count them as practice days for your athletes, and you can't have tryouts during this period. You have to wait until February 28th for all of those things to take place. But you can bring athletes in prior to that. Your principal should be keeping track of these days, so you should work with your principal and your athletic director anytime that you're going to have a flex day, and chart those so you're not accused of using too many days. Excuse me. And these are voluntary. You cannot use Sundays unless you have our board of director approval. And to get our board of director approval, you must be well in advance. You need to be a couple months out knowing that you want to use a Sunday, but we would prefer that you stay off Sundays for flex days. And once again, the week of July 4th is a down period. As far as postseason tournament, we've made some changes the last few years, but if you have 5 or more teams in your section, you must begin your sectional tournament on Monday, May 9th. If you only have 4 teams, you can wait until Tuesday, and if you only have 3 teams, you can wait until Wednesday, May 11th. And once we start the tournament, these must be played on consecutive days. It's a double elimination format. And one thing that we've changed this year, it used to be the higher seed would host every single game. Through discussion and talking to people around the state, we have made one change that's pretty significant. And the higher seed, because we're still going to do the balloting system, the higher seed will host the first round games, and then any elimination or deciding games from there on out. So if a higher seed would happen to get dropped down into the losers bracket and fight their way back out, they will not host that first game out of the losers bracket. They will actually go to the team that has advanced in the winners bracket. But if we get down to a deciding game, it will go back to the higher seed. Ballots, we'll send them out on a Friday, and then we'll need those ballots returned to us at the office on May 3rd by noon. You rate all the schools in Section 1 and 2, coaches. Do not vote for your own team. And then we will separate the teams and put them in appropriate brackets and ship them back to you, hopefully sometime Tuesday afternoon, early Wednesday morning, so you can be ready to go by that following Monday. We toss out the highest score and we toss out the lowest score, and we do expect the head coach and the principal to sign off on the ballot. If you advance to the regional, we will send you a second ballot with all the regional teams that have qualified to seed for the state tournament. And the regional is a little bit different, as we will have those ballots due back on Tuesday by noon. on May 24th. And the regional, though, is a best 2 of 3 series. So we will start at the higher seed the first game, go to the lower seed on the second game, and then if we have a deciding game, it will go back to the higher seed. And we think baseball is based on series, so we really like this change for our regional tournament. If you finish your sectional tournament on the previous Thursday or before, you will start your regional tournament on Monday, May 23rd. Now, if your sectional runs into Friday or Saturday, then we will wait till Tuesday, May 24th to begin your sectional. And state tournament, as you know, we use a seeded format. 1 will play 4, and the 2 seed will play the 3 seed, and it's single elimination once you get to the state tournament. If you're a coach and you don't have a valid West Virginia teaching certificate, you're working on an authorization, and it's Form 39 that goes through the West Virginia Department of Education, and you must be certified. You must have taken the coaching course through us, but just a reminder to fill out Form 39 every year. It's $35, goes to the Department of Ed, and that authorizes you to coach for 1 year, making you an authorized certified coach. The only people that are allowed to work with our athletes are our coaches, our certified coaches that are hired through the Board of Education process. We have a lot of schools that still think we can bring volunteers in and work with our kids. You cannot. We do have coaches that do not get paid, but they're still certified and they're still hired through Board of Education action. So coaches, just a reminder, only authorized staff can work with our kids. If you play a contest without the eligibility being submitted before your first game, reminder, it's a $25 fee plus a forfeit of that contest if you happen to win. And because of our seeding process, we really want you to keep your scores updated weekly, online, and this will help us with the seeding process. New rule that's in effect, coaches, for a student athlete to be eligible for the first contest, they now only need 12 practice days on separate days. The old rule was 14. We've reduced that to 12. And also, if your boys basketball team happens to get to the state basketball tournament, those kids coming out would only need 5 sport-specific practices to be eligible to play their first game. And another rule change that we have is the scrimmages. It used to be you needed 7 days of practice before you could scrimmage. We've reduced that down to 5 as well. And as you know, with an outdoor sport, anytime there's a revision of a schedule, make sure that we get those posted online. If there's a cancellation or a postponement, update dates or cancel the games. This year we will be using the Spalding TF Pro. It's the last year of our contract, and then next year it's been approved that we go back to Wilson, and we'll be using the A1010 starting with the 22-23 baseball season. Reminder, during the regular season you can use an NFHS approved ball if you don't want to use the Spalding, but come sectional time we will use the Spalding TF Pro. Schedules are due online by March 9th. You're allowed high schools up to 32 games. Lineup cards are required, and just a reminder, once the sectional tournament begins, you're only allowed 25 people in your dugout and your total party. If all head coaches are required to rate West Virginia's registered officials. In doing so, try to do these coaches every 5 or 6 games, so we're not waiting till the end of the season to rate 32 games. It's only fair to our umpires that they get the proper ratings early, within a week of your games. I'm not sure how you can remember back to game 1 when it's already at game 32. So keep track of those. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes to rate each game. Reminder, if you give a 4 or a 5, it must be a misapplied rule, okay? Not your opinion, coaches, of the official having a bad game versus a good game, or you winning the game versus losing the game. It's strictly based on, did they misapply the rule? And that way we can help them learn the rule. But our umpires are very good at knowing the rules because they take so many written tests. So please keep that in mind, that we really don't want a bunch of 4s or 5s, and we have a shortage of officials the way it is in baseball, and most certainly we don't want to drive our officials away from our sport. Middle school, you're allowed 18 games. We recommend wood bats. You will play, if you're playing one game, you'll play a 7-inning game. If you play a doubleheader, the second game must be limited to 5 innings. Your pitch count rules apply. You're allowed 1 scrimmage, and that's after 5 days of practice. And practice begins for you on February 28th, and your first game can be on the Wednesday, March 16th, but your season must end by May 14th. Ejection policy still the same. First-time high school coaches or players, it's 10% of your schedule, so it would be 3 games, and then the second time would bounce to 20% of your schedule at 6 games. And just a reminder, the only thing you can do during this period is practice with your team, but it can't be on a game day. You have 0 accessibility to your team on game days. You've lost that privilege, and you must be out of sight and sound of all games, and this includes players as well. Middle school, your 10% would be 2 games the first time and then 4 games the second time. Practice begins February 28th on a Monday. 2 scrimmages are allowed after 5 days of practice. And then high school, you're also first contest on March 16th. Your sectional is a 2-week period from May 9th to May 21st. But reminder, just consecutive days once you begin. And then the regional will begin either on that Monday or Tuesday, May 23, and run through 28. And then the state tournament in Charleston at Appalachian Power Park will be June 2nd through the 4th. That's a Thursday through Saturday. If you do make the state tournament, just a reminder that we will be checking bats for compression levels. And we've been very fortunate in baseball not to have too many issues. We've been doing this for 3 years now, and I think we've tossed 2 bats. So I know parents buy the bats, but coaches, you're responsible for producing a legal bat. So double check, make sure that we have the proper verbiage on the bats and that they are safe and legal. Coaches, make sure that you, and umpires, we run the Interscholastic online. It's the most up-to-date informational document that we have. Read the Interscholastic, make sure that we're good with all the dates and the times and the rotation of the state tournament. And if there's something that looks incorrect, send me a message and we most certainly can correct it online. Tobacco enforcement, especially with baseball, just remember it's illegal to use any tobacco product during practices, games, or on school property. So players and coaches, you could face an ejection. Umpires, you could face a suspension. But the main thing is just a reminder, please do not use tobacco products during our events. All coaches, just a reminder, you're required to still take the concussion course, the sudden cardiac arrest course, and then if you're a first-time coach, you will take the heat acclimatization course. We have posted all 3 of these links on the front of our website. Just go to the link, run the course, take the little quiz, and then run a certificate and give it to your athletic director so they can count you as in good standing. Just a reminder, concussions are a national issue, and it's a highly discussed topic throughout the country at all levels. But if a child is determined to have a concussion, they will be out a minimum of 6 days. They could return on that 6th day. We have progressions that I'll show you in a second, but there's no more than one progression step per day that is permitted. Here's our progressions, and you'll notice after the 5th progression, it says following written medical clearance, and that written medical clearance will allow them to return to playing games. Fortunate for us in baseball, we have pretty good safety equipment, so we do not have a lot of concussions in our sport. Here are the 7 healthcare professionals that can diagnose a concussion and return them back to play. Just a reminder, there's no parent on this list, or coach, or umpire. It has to be a medical professional, and whichever medical professional determines and diagnoses a concussion, there are no second opinions. This is an issue we're having with parents right now. A certified athletic trainer will diagnose a concussion. In 2 days, they'll take them to their regular physician. They'll say, no, they don't have a concussion, but just a reminder, they do not come out of protocol once they are diagnosed, not with a second opinion. They will go through the entire protocol before returning to play. Heat acclimatization, this is solely on our coaches. Coaches keep our players safe. If it's hot, we want you to work them, but we want you to also give them breaks, give them fluids, and this is a preventable death, and it's mainly just coaches. We haven't had an issue in baseball, but we most certainly do not want an issue in baseball. But just keep our athletes safe. Sudden cardiac arrest mainly deals with adults. 75% are adults, but only 10% survive when you go into sudden cardiac arrest. And we do have athletes, every few days dying across the country from sudden cardiac arrest. My recommendation would be get yourself certified in CPR and AED training. And as you know, Senate Bill 40, you have to fill out the emergency action plan anyway, and this is before your first practice. So have those filled out. Put your teams together. If you have athletes certified in CPR, put them on your CPR team, and practice these plans in practice. Here's what the emergency action plan looks like, from your 911 team all the way down through heat stroke. So plug names in, and we want student athletes on this list. And I just want to wish you the best of luck this season. I hope we stay healthy. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call the office or send me an email.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the West Virginia SSAC's 2022 Baseball Clinic. I am Bob Wyford, the state clinician for baseball. My contact information is on the screen. Please feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email at any time, and I will get back to you. This presentation is adapted from the one given by Elliot Hopkins, who is the Director of Sports for NFHS, the presentation that he gave at the national seminar back in January. It will be a short presentation today. There is only one rule change, and it is not a significant change. As a reminder, Game Changer has become a very important part of the game that we officiate. We are not responsible for taking care of the pitch count, but you may run into a situation between the two teams where they don't agree, and that is something that they can send on to Greg He gets the results from Game Changer for every game, every pitch that's thrown. So they can resolve that. That's not an issue for us as umpires. Game Changer is now a corporate partner with the NFHS, so you're going to see them more involved as we move forward. Now the rule change. It affects the pitching rule, and it affects the pitcher taking a sign from a catcher. The underlying sentence is the change to the rule. It's the language that has been added. It still states that a pitcher must now simulate taking a sign from the catcher with his pivot foot in contact with the pitcher's plate. This rule change has been brought on by the changes that have occurred with how pitches are called. A lot of teams now are using armbands with numbers or colors or some sort of a way to call a pitch other than just straight signals from the catcher. The pitcher can take this sign from the dugout. He can take it from a coach, but still yet, before the play begins, he has to be engaged to the rubber. He has to look into the catcher, and the catcher has to simulate giving a sign. It helps everybody else involved in the game to be ready. It helps his defense get set. It helps any base runners that are on to know that they can take their lead and that some type of play is ready to begin. That is the only rule change that has come in this year. Points of emphasis. Excessive celebration. We have moved into a part of the game where stuff is being choreographed. People are taking different roles from the offensive side. Umpires, if you see this, stop it early in your game. No one other than any base runners that were ahead of the runner who scored or the next batter up to bat should be around that dirt circle as they come across home plate. Keep the other team members back at the dugout. Let them celebrate and high five, whatever they may do, over in the dugout area. Do not allow them to spill out towards the catcher or into that dirt circle. It can just create some other issues that we do not need to be having happen in our games. Proper use of equipment. These equipment companies spend millions of dollars to make sure their products are safe. Anytime we see something that has broken, seems to have been altered, changed in any way, we do have the discretion to remove it from a ball game. One thing that I see often are cracked helmets at the earpieces where, a batter may have gotten upset in the dugout as the previous at bat, slammed the helmet down and it cracks it. They put it back on the next time they're up. If we notice it, or that or any other equipment, we can certainly remove it from the game. Sitting on buckets. This has become a popular one. Buckets or stools outside of the dugout area or any designated dead ball area. It is not allowed. If you see it in your games, there again, get on it early, correct it, tell them they need to stay in the dead ball territory, and if that's in the dugout, so be it. All coaches need to set the example for their teams, so we don't want any of the ball players thinking it's okay to come out and sit in that same area. So if you see this, stop it early and get them back into the dugout where they are supposed to be. Lodged ball. We talked about this a few years ago, a ball getting stuck in a player's glove and it was still live and they could take it off and throw it around, record outs, that sort of thing. There is a procedure for a lodged ball, and just to make note that a baseball that remains on the playing field but has become wedged, stuck, lost, unreachable is defined to be lodged. If it hits something, stops abruptly, and does not fall or roll immediately, it is considered lodged. And there are procedures in place in the rules to take care of those situations. Sportsmanship. This is something we talk about at our plate meetings with our coaches. We always expect good sportsmanship. Comes to mind, a pitcher in his wind-up, in his stretch, he's getting ready to deliver a ball. Loud screams, chants coming out of the opposing team's dugout. Stop that as well. Allow them to root for their team, for their ball players, for their squad. That's totally fine, and it's actually expected. But to be doing something to distract the other team is unsportsmanlike, and we do not need it in our game. A few rule reminders. As far as rule books, we can get those in many ways now. You can still get the paper books. Everyone should have received those. Those were handed out or mailed after the interpreter's clinic. You can get an ebook loaded on your phone, or as it is supplied from the SSAC to all of us for free, you can get the NFHS app on your phone. I think most everybody's utilizing that form for the most part now. Designated hitter, there have been no changes to the designated hitter rules. This is simply a reminder that using the standard DH, the role of the designated hitter is terminated when he or any previous designated hitter assumes a defensive position. They are now on the field just like any other fielder. They are now part of a 9-man batting roster versus a 10-man batting roster. NFHS Learn, the Learning Center. At the Interpreters Clinic, there were many people who raised their hand that said they have utilized this resource. There is something there for everyone. Us as officials, the students, the coaches, administrators, parents. Like I say, there's something for coaches. We may even mention this to our coaches if you feel like it's necessary. Many different courses are available. Those are listed on the left. Future courses they are working on. Officiating baseball has been in here for a few years. So hopefully in the near future, we will see that one as well. The Learning Center can be for all of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be for new officials or first-year folks. It's a good refresher for every one of us. The courses take 30 to 45 minutes to complete, and they do cover a range of topics. Outside of officiating, there are other free courses available. I'll call attention to the second bullet that mentions student mental health. I think that is a good one for all of us. With things that are going on in our world nowadays, pandemics and things changing, I believe mental health is very important to each and every one of us. And lastly, the NFHS network. I do have this slide in here not only to point that the NFHS does have their own streaming service. They show ball games throughout the country, but to point out that there are multiple streaming services in each of our areas. Anywhere we go in West Virginia, there's a possibility that a game can be live streamed. And even if it isn't, everybody in the crowd has a cell phone, the capability to video. So I would just like to point out that we keep all our games professional. We take care of maintaining the game itself. that we maintain the integrity of the game, and just be mindful that anything that we do can and probably is being recorded. So make sure we are carrying ourselves and taking care of ourselves in the proper manner when we're on a ball field, because it could be videoed. Thank everyone for being a part of this. I wish everyone a great baseball season in 2022. Take care and be safe. Thank you so much.